Hello, welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 237. It is January 19th, 2015. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. We're recording a day late because we both ended up with Martin Luther King Jr. Day off.
Yes.
That's a federal holiday in the States. And it's the only, non-major holiday that I get off. And I guess it's still a major holiday, but I guess it's a newer holiday. So, anyway.
Cool.
Knitting. We knit, sort of. Sometimes we negative knit more than we knit, but we do knit.
Oh, I'm having one of those weeks. Would you like to go first, or would you like
It's up to you.
words? More coffee.
You or me?
No, I'll go. Okay.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of a row. It doesn't really matter though. Let me show all my negative knitting first. So, I have been knitting on some opal socks that I started back in 2007. And this is the first one, which was already done. And then the cuff of the second one had been cast on. And I got to working on the second one. And I got past the heel turn and I got on the foot. And I was like, it just looks different. Like, it just is not looking the same. And so then I checked gauge. And it's about a ½ inch difference, which means it's an inch difference. And the stitches on the second one look super sloppy.
Well, I don't think the stitches look sloppy. I think the patterning just looks different because your stitches are a little bit larger because you've loosened up. You can definitely tell the gauge has changed just based on the patterning.
Yeah, if I had been looking at it,
I wouldn't have thought to. I'm definitely not trying to bust your chops.
No. So it's a lot different. This one's like 9 stitches per inch, and this one's like 6 stitches per inch. So I'm going to rip it all back out, and I pulled some zeros out. I do have double zeros, but I'm going to try with the zeros first. And I'm going to rip this one all the way out and start it over. I might actually, maybe I won't rip out the ribbing. Maybe I'll rip back to the ribbing. So I have tons of yarn left, and it is this lovely yarn, which is opal. It is in the Rainforest colorway, in the Parrot colorway. I think this was like the second series of Rainforest they ever did, and now they're on like 20. So I knew going into it, like, I have not knit on size 1.5 needles in a while. It's been a while since I was on 1.5s. Now I'm mostly on 1s. I should really sell off most of my 1.5s. I should do that. But, I need to go rip this out, go back down, and reknit it. So this will be, I have an event that I'm going to on Friday. So I'll restart it, and this will become purse knitting again. Which is good, because I'm planning on skipping all the rush hour traffic. My event's at 6 in Memphis on a Friday afternoon. And so I'm going to leave work at like 3 and just go hang out in Memphis and kind of miss all that crazy rush hour traffic. So I'll be sitting around probably in a bookstore for a couple hours waiting on a book signing. So I'll do that, eating tomato and blue cheese soup. So that's the first thing that's really negative knitting. The second thing that's negative knitting is, my friend Jess sent me this lovely hand-spun yarn. It's absolutely gorgeous. And so I decided I needed a really good pattern to show it off. And so I am knitting the Stry toe-up sock. Hold on one second, I'm sorry. Wheezy's calling me. So I decided that I am going to knit that sock, and so I started, and I got through. It's got a gusset increase heel, and then on the heel you're increasing as you short row, which I've never done before, and then you decrease once you get to like another heel flap. So it's got a heel flap. It's a true heel flap. I cannot count. I have an inability. I've knit it 3 times. The yarn's holding up really, really well. Jess is an awesome spinner. Some might call her an alpha spinner.
Perhaps.
My friend Jess and my friend Lynn always fight over who's the alpha spinner, which is pretty funny. And then I'll say I'm the alpha spinner. I get shot down like.
I don't even try.
I try to sneak it in conversations when they're not paying attention, and they always catch me. So I am going to really sit down in peace and quiet because I was trying to do this at midnight and just go and try to do that. If not, I'll rip it back to here and then I'll just do an afterthought heel or something.
Don't give up.
No, I'm not giving up. I'm going to try. I'm just having a negative knitting week. And then because I needed something that was not negative knitting.
Something to make you feel like you knew how to knit.
Yes, like, because I've been feeling, because this is like the third, these are like last week I had to rip out almost an entire shawl. So I needed something to make me feel, although Joanna Spring said she had trouble with that lace too, and that made me feel better. Although the 2,500 other people who have knitted obviously not. So I have this yarn that's been in the stash for a long, long time, since 2003. And it was Schaefer yarn. It is Schaefer yarn. Schaefer yarn's no longer in business. And I bought it at the Black Mountain Yarn Shop when I lived in North Carolina. And this was the Tweety colorway. And I got it because I just bought the Yarn Girls Guide to Knitting Kids Knits or something, or one of the Yarn Girls Guide books, which I loved when I was a beginner knitter. And so I bought this to knit baby sweaters out of, but it's not a superwash wool. It is a merino wool. It's plied with a thread, so it's like super lumpy bumpy. It's lots of fun to knit, but it has to go to another knitter who you know
how to care for those hand
yeah
knits.
And I was looking through Ravelry a couple days ago and I came across the baby sunshine pattern, which this is gonna be hard to see because it's squashed up on the needles. It's a baby blanket that's half circular. So it's just like a shawl, a half circular shawl. And so I got through, I had like 1.5 skeins left because I had knit another baby blanket out of it along probably 2003. So I started working on this, and this I thought was perfect for a pattern called Baby Sunshine. First off, because it's bright and yellows and it's really pretty. And I've got around, so the balls are 8 ounces but 300 yards. So I've got around probably 6 ounces of the second ball still to go. So I've still got a lot of progress to make on this. I've done 9 repeats of the pattern. It's an 8-row pattern. So I've done around 50 rows because there are some beginning rows too before you get into the pattern. So I'm getting there on it. I'm hoping to get around 15 repeats total out of this. So I'm hoping to kind of finish it. This is the Seattle Seahawks game yesterday and a little bit until I gave up on the Patriots game, which was before halftime actually. So like 4 hours, 5 hours worth of work. And then I watched Scorpion on and on. So more like 6 hours. So it'll probably take around 25 hours total, I would say. So not too bad. And it's going to a friend of mine, who is a knitter, who's really awesome. And she's had a rough week, so I wanted to bring a little bit of sunshine into her life. And she's got an adorable baby girl, so it's going to her. So that's all I have on the needles. In a very roundabout kind of way.
Okay.
What are you working on?
I have a couple things. In my Seashore Sharon bag, which is covered in dog hair, as is most things I own. I'm working on the Yarn vs. Zombies on the bite back base, the Sunrise colorway, which is this
pretty.
Silver and orange.
Yeah. That's an old whip too.
Well, yeah, not as old as the ones I'm working on, but
no, but it's still.
It's a few months old.
Yeah. You don't have things on your needles like I keep on my needles.
Usually not. I try not to.
Clear off your stuff pretty frequently.
So I just started it last week. I finished the ribbing and started on the stockinette portion. I did not get a ton of work done on this. I've been doing all kinds of crafting this week, which I'll show you as we go. So I'll work on this more this week probably because I'm close to being done with the other work in progress that I have, which is, where did my bag go? Here it is. The Atlantic Current socks, which are patterned by Meliabella, and I'm knitting these for a man, so they're big long socks. This is the first one. It's been done for a while, and I'm working on the second one. I had already cast it on, and I was still in the ribbing, and I pulled it out yesterday and actually made some pretty good progress on it this weekend. So
oh, you're almost done, it looks like.
I'm getting there, yeah. My needles are, there we go. So I've got about another 1.5 inches of the pattern to go before I start decreasing for the toe. This is in Leading Wind Fiber Arts in the Spotlight base, and it is called Toxic Gas. That's the colorway.
It's a good neutral.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a good man color because it's not too...
Although there are some men who would wear bright colors.
They would, I'm sure.
Not.
I just wanted something very, you know, not in your face. So this is a nice neutral color. I got this at SSK last year, and I'm really enjoying knitting it. I've just got the slip stitch pattern is a 3-row repeat, and I've got 8 more to go. That's that marker marks that I had 10. Yeah. So I have 8 more to go, and then I start decreasing for the toe. So hopefully tonight I'll finish this. I don't have a ton more work. I got blasted through the heel and the gusset, which is my least favorite part, but it's done.
The gusset.
Yes.
Get rid of the gussets.
I just don't like doing gussets. I don't know why. I really hate heel flaps more than I hate gussets. But
really? They go pretty fast because you're just working on half of it.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm weird that way. What can I say?
You are. You finished something, correct?
I did. I completely finished my Lucky Me cardigan, which is what I'm wearing it actually.
Pretty.
I'm sorry the lighting sucks. I have a light fixture right there, but somehow it got a bunch of water in it. So Michael's looked at it and he said it was a condensation because the air is humid down here in the basement, and he's going to replace the fixture, but we have to go and get one. And anyway, so sorry it's dark. We'll fix it tomorrow. So this is the Lucky Me cardigan. It's got the little genius pockets.
Very cute.
It did end up too big, actually, which is a problem I do not frequently have.
I think it looks good, though. It doesn't look sloppy, I don't feel like.
It's just, I don't know, it's just too big on me. It's too big overall, especially in this area.
Yeah.
So I may take it with me to SSK, and if it fits somebody wonderfully, maybe I'll give it away.
That's always an option.
I did sew in the little snap buttons, and they turned out very nice. And the yarn is very nice. It's just, it's very big.
It was Beaver Slide dry goods, correct?
Yes.
Did you swatch for it?
I did, but I feel like, especially, I didn't anticipate it taking as much yarn as it did, and so it's really heavy because cables eat up yarn.
Yeah.
So it's really heavy, so it just kind of pulls and drapes, which is fine. I don't mind that, but it's just, it's like I'm sitting down now and it's all bunched up into like layers, and it's just not as fitted as I would have liked it, but that's okay. It's likely my fault for not like factoring that in. I don't blame the pattern for that. And I try to be very zen about it and just let it go. I did enjoy the knitting process. So, and then also this week, my dog, Buffy, she doesn't like most people. She's very distrusting. We think that she had been abused before.
Because you adopted her from,
when she was a couple of years old. So it took a long time for her to like bond with us and our other dog. But once she's bonded, she's bonded. So when we get home from work, she's so excited, and her tail goes in a circle instead of going back and forth, and she bounces, and she wants to be petted and loved and all that. And sometimes she's overexcited. And so a couple weeks ago, she actually put a couple of holes in my favorite hoodie And so I didn't want to throw it away, so I decided to learn how to do mending. Susan B. Anderson put out a great video like a week ago. It's susanbanderson.blogspot.com, I think. But she put out a video on how to darn a sock.
Uh-huh.
And it was really empowering to watch it because Susan is very meticulous and precise. She does things with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole idea of darning is just sort of fudging it. Like, there is every hole on every sock is different.
Yeah.
So she gives you sort of an outline and then just says, just fudge it. And it's kind of empowering to hear that from, Susan, who gets paid lots of money to travel around the world and teach people.
And she's pretty awesome, too.
She is pretty awesome. So I took some Hazel Knits Cadence worsted yarn and I mended the holes. So I put the area in an embroidery hoop, and then I stitched around the hole, and then I just sort of did warp and weave like you would when you're using a loom.
Yeah.
And then did, general outline around it, and then there was another hole, and I decided to try a different method, and this one is meant to look like knitted stitches.
Yeah, it does.
And
definitely.
It's called Swiss darning. So I'm happy with it. It means I can wear it again.
It's very cute.
Yeah, the areas are very secure. It's not coming apart. There is some, on the inside.
Yeah.
But I really don't think anybody's going to be inspecting the inside of my hoodie, so
I think you're safe there.
I feel like I'm good there, yeah. So it was cool to learn how to mend in a very basic sense. Mend things. So there's that. And I have some spinning, but you have FOs.
I do have one FO. I sewed on buttons and sewed the hood closed on my scoodlet and actually wore it the other day. So it's so funny when it's like, it looks so huge. There is my back seam, which is not too bad. It's not exactly, if you turn it inside out, it's not exactly perfect, but I think it looks fine.
Oh yeah, especially in that marled colorway, you don't even notice the seam.
So that came out pretty well, and then I sewed on the buttons, and I chose these little like red flapper girls.
I love them. I think it's perfect.
So there's 4 buttonholes and 4 buttons. And, yeah, it was fun to wear the other day. I really like it. It'll go good tucked in. I actually don't have a jacket with a hood. Well, that's a lie. I have a big oversized Steeler jacket that I wear when it's really cold. So this would tuck in under that nicely. But also it just kind of, I have a gray plaid coat that it will tuck into nicely and give me a hood option. And if it's really cold, I have a black polar fleece hat from before I knit. That I can tuck in under. So I'm not going to line it because I don't want it to be super bulky. I like how when it's on, I can push the hood back.
Yeah, and it becomes like a cowl.
Yeah, and then I can always, if it's super cold or if I want to be incognito, I can just pull it up. And I wore it the other day with my hair down. It looked fine. So, yep. Now I look kind of like an Ewok Princess Leia thing going on there. But, yeah, it's super cute. I really like it. I have a rainbow loop bat to spin, which was one of her shorter repeat ones. I think it'd be really cool out of hand spun. So maybe eventually, that's in my bin for Spin the Bin, that bat. So maybe I will get that done so that I can knit another one. But yeah, I like it. And then, of course, I was like sucked into the trap that is her patterns. So I might have bought a couple more. Thought about, I should do this one out of that one. So Lethal has some great patterns. Lee Meredith is just a wonderful designer, and she has a new series that's come out that's like very funny to me. So I was reading her blog the other day. But some great stuff. So that's what I finished, and then you did some spinning.
You should show yours first, because right now on the show notes, it says Laura has spun some knitting in color. It's cracking me up.
That's awesome. So I finished one bobbin of some Knitting color in the Raven colorway. This is Superwash. So I think I'm gonna give up on the thought of using my Superwash spins that I've been doing for a sweater. I was gonna do the less is more sweater, but looking at all the bobbins lined up, they're pretty inconsistent.
So,
And I'm not happy with that. No, because like gauge will fluctuate a ton as you go down, and it'll make it look kind of crappy. So I think I might do a 10 stitch blanket instead. I'm going to wait till they're plied to give it like a final. Mm, but spinning bulky is or bulkier is not. It's something I need to work on. So I'm going to work on that and make them more consistent. So this was my first try to spin for gauge spin that's been going on for like a year. That might be another problem. But yeah, I have actually 12 bobbins now. So I have two more braids to spin because I just finished the second one of this has like this much left on the I just need to finish it today. I've been spinning around 15 minutes every night. So I need to finish that up. Actually, as I'm making tea, I hit my kettle on. I spin while the water heats up.
oh,
And then I go pour water in my teacup with my tea. Let that brew for like 3 minutes. Spin while that's brewing. And so when I make tea 4 or 5 times a night, it works out well. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. The other option is I can do a 10 stitch blanket by Frankie Brown, the one that goes out, and I think that would be very cool as well. And that would be less of a gauge issue because it's not a garment that I would want to wear out and about.
I don't know. I just a hand spun blanket is a lot.
It is, but like, I mean, I don't have any. I don't know. It's funny because some people are like, I have to save my hand spun for special projects. I really don't feel that way. Like, I want to use my hand spun
I get that.
whenever I feel like. So it's just yarn. I have the ability to make more, a lot more. There's a lot of fiber in
You
this
just
house.
do whatever makes you happy.
So we'll see. That would be a very long term. And I enjoy blanket knitting. I could also do, uh, um, where you do the big square in the middle, a log cabin blanket out of it as well. I don't know why that took me so
Yeah, I
long
was
to.
gonna say you've knit several of those.
Yeah, like I could do another log cabin as well. So you have some knitting, not knitting, but knitting color spinning.
I do. I spun up a gradient and a semi-solid and plied them together, and this is what it looks like.
Ooh, I like it.
So the gradient goes from a dark black to a light orange. It's pumpkin fire, and the solid is called embers, and they share.
Twist it. Ooh, that's pretty.
They share the orange is in both, so it came out nice. It's 660 yards of a 2-ply. It's probably a worsted.
Wow.
It's already had its bath. So
Do you have any plans for it?
I don't.
It's pretty. It would be a big shawl I mean, a decent sized shawl.
Yeah. It probably will be some sort of accessory just because of the gradient in it, and I want to be able to show it. Like, it's hard to tell that it's a gradient in the skein.
Yeah.
But if it's in some sort of a shawl or something, then
You could do a follow your arrow.
yeah, I'm not doing that. I have nothing against Isolde, and she does beautiful patterns, but I do not like to. I have been burned by the whole joining in with the crowd thing before, so
Mystery shawl. Well, you could do her first one where the pattern's all out.
yeah, no, I don't want to. So it's easy for me to say no. But yeah, that's the spinning that I've done.
Cool.
So we
We
have
have
a
a
book
book
to review.
review, and it's a book that
It is a meaty.
oh, it's so good. If I was to say like one knitting book from 2014,
It's
it's so hard to choose because I really love that sock book too, but this is one of definitely in the top 5 books.
yeah. I mean, it's a very okay. So it's The Knowledgeable Knitter by Margaret Radcliffe, and it's put out by Story Publishing, and they did send us copies for review.
It is $25. I will tell you, I purchased a copy. I had
Yeah.
pre-ordered this book because I love her books. And so, because I didn't know we were getting it for review. And so this came and that came on the same day. So Mama Linneman got a
Yeah.
copy too.
And it's very meaty, so you can see by the number of tabs that I've got. And this was just the things that I thought of significant note. There were lots of things that I thought, oh, that's cool, but
It's one of those books that it's definitely a reference book that you could use
mhm.
over and over again. It is not necessary. I don't think there's any patterns in it.
No, there's not.
It is just pure reference, which I love to sit and read with a cup of coffee and read a reference book. It starts with chapter one is first choices, patterns, yarns, and needles. So it goes from what makes a well-written pattern all the way to yarn choice and needle choice for creating a sweater or garment that works best for you. It is garment based for the most
Mhm.
part, although there's a lot of information in here.
That you could apply to
Oh, yes.
accessories or what have you.
So it's a super smart book, and every page is just not, every page has something that I'm like, oh, well, that's super clever.
Yeah. So Laura and I are just going to go through here. First, I'm going to say if you don't have the book and you often have to refer to the internet or lots of different books for information about anything from gauge to ribbing to buttonholes to pockets to anything like that, this book has all of that. So I would urge you to consider adding it to your library.
And it's stuff that I've never even thought of.
Yeah, there are many things in here that I like never occurred to me. So Laura and I are just going to sort of breeze through and show you our highlights of things that we thought were most interesting about it. The first thing that I thought was really nice to have explained was she has a bit on understanding and evaluating schematics in a pattern. So she talks you through what does this circled measurement mean, and where should you measure to get a true length on a sleeve, and what about the collar depth, and what about the shoulder depth. And it's very comprehensive on different types of garments, as well as whether or not they were knit in pieces, whether they yoked, whether they were top down, bottom up, etc. Very comprehensive.
Something that I just absolutely love are actually the layout of the book, where it's got like little informational bits off to the side separated very clearly. This one particularly, if you don't know what needle size to use with some yarn, have the yarn doubled and hold it across a gauge, not through it, but across. And the one that it covers, try swatching with that first. And I really like that hint. It's not one that I've heard before. I've heard of pulling it through, but not laying it across. And I really, really like that.
So they're just little bite-sized tidbits.
But just the format overall is very clear and concise. Every area is highlighted with text in a different color, so you can really see where it's going, the overview of what's being discussed, lots of pictures.
Yes.
And pictures of different types of wool in each technique.
That's one I had tagged, because it has different ply structures, and it shows you how the ply structure affects the finished object. So first, there's a whole section on how to take your own body measurements, and how the measurements affect each other, like how your bust to hip ratio affects the garment. And she explains how to take each measurement. And then, like Laura mentioned, this same stitch pattern, different yarns. So this one here on the left is a single ply wool, and it's very round and clear. And then you go over to this 2-ply wool, and you can see how that ply affects the finished object. And it really puts into perspective why some things you pick out, you know, a pattern, and you choose a different yarn from what's mentioned, which I almost always do. And sometimes it makes the item look very different from what you would have expected. And it could just be the ply structure of the yarn.
I love how this book, with the photographs, everything's photographed in a color that you can very clearly see. So it's a lot of light colored solids. So you can actually see the technique that's being discussed. I think that's very important when it comes to this. I also like how there's a whole section on just besides swatching, what information you gauge besides gauge what information you gain from swatching. There we go. I told you I need coffee. So it allows you to evaluate the fabric, how you will manage your yarn, whether or not you need to do an every other row on your balls to make sure
If you're
that they
alternating
your
colors.
colors, working with difficult yarn, and just like trying different cast-ons with it, trying different
Yeah.
border stitches. So it allows you
Speaking of
to.
cast-ons, she shows several cast-ons I've never heard of. Like this is a simple long tail cast-on, but it's done using several colors held together.
Yeah.
And it gives such a pretty edge. Why have I never heard of this before?
So there's a whole planning your project section where you kind of think about the order of the construction you do, and simple things like cast-ons and edges. And if you don't have a cast-on that's working for you, maybe doing a provisional cast-on and then just binding those stitches back off if you like the edge look of your bind off better than your cast-on. So a lot of thinking ahead type things, things that you don't really think about, and then when you're seaming your sweater together, you're like, oh, I wish I had, slipped to the first stitch
Right.
of every row. I wish I had inset my increases or decreases a couple stitches in,
On the
so as I
inside.
seam, they're not getting in the way. Maybe you go ahead.
She does some really interesting case studies as well, giving some real life examples. And so one of them that I thought particularly interesting was converting something from a flat item to make it circular, to knitting it in the round. And so she highlights all these different parts that you're going to need to think about, and then she addresses what you would need to do in order to convert those instructions to circular instructions. And for someone who's not an experienced knitter, that's incredibly helpful.
I like how it does the ribbing, and it shows you how changing the ribbing on elastic and inelastic yarns, how that changes it, but also maybe going down a needle size, how that changes the ribbing versus decreasing 10% and going down a needle size. So a lot of little things that patterns might not take into consideration, but are very easy for you to switch when you're knitting the garment
Yeah.
and making sure that it fits you correctly.
Also really love her section on darts. Although it does look like she favors the horizontal over the vertical, but that is all personal preference. And she shows some darts in different pattern stitches. So here's one in garter, and there's one in a faggoted rib. And then there's one in a regular rib. And it's nice to see that can be done and be done very well so that it looks professional.
There's a huge section about steeking and several different methods of steeking, from a 5-stitch steek to 3-stitch steek to working a wrapped steek, so where to do a steek. So there's a lot of information. If you're interested in getting into steeking, this will be a great reference book for that as well.
She does also touch on how to fix a mistake in a cable cross, which I've done
Wonderful.
more
Yeah.
times than I would like to discuss,
Awesome.
with very clear photographs on how to do it. As well as how to correct a whole row of stitches if you have a purl row where you're supposed to have a knitted row. It's all very simplified and very cleanly done. She's got a section on how to do jogless rows, including jogless color changes, with lots of suggestions, including one that I think is brilliant and somebody needs to incorporate into a pattern soon, and that is to create a cable cross right at the jog line, because that tricks your eye.
It does.
That's very, very smart.
I like how the book has forethought solutions, so things you do ahead of time, but also afterthought solutions. So this is a problem, how can you fix it? So there's a lot of like, this is how you can make your garments better from the start, and this is how you can make them better after something goes wrong.
Right.
And the whole book is like that. So it's a lot of useful information on just how to make things work for you. There's no right way or wrong way, and there's lots of options given for every single thing, from necklines to, you know, um, like Leslie was saying with the color jogs. There's a lot of different ways to fix things.
And then she's got a whole section on how to fix things after the fact. Um, as much forethought as you put into it, sometimes things just don't work out. So she's got a section on how to lengthen or shorten a knitted piece, and with several recommendations on different things to try and why you would use that particular one. How to add width to a garment by sewing in a panel, or knitting on edgings. There's more options than I would have believed.
There's a lot for the seaming section too, and I like how she uses a contrast color yarn for her seaming. So the photography in this book is excellent, so you can really see what's going on. It's well done, it's close-ups, there's multiple pictures. I just really enjoy the layout and how the book itself is put together.
She even goes into things that seem like simple things, but also give you... Okay, so she talks about weaving in ends. We've all, if you've knitted anything, you've woven in an end. And I usually do it one of a couple of ways, but she gives you so many. She gives you half a dozen ways, and how to do things when there's reversible knitting involved, or how to do it and make it decorative, make it a feature. There's just so many great ideas in this book. And it's all, like Laura mentioned, it's all photographed very clearly. She has lots of helpful little tips on the corners of the pages.
The back has wonderful illustrations for different techniques that are discussed, from working small objects in the round to decreases. She has some great photographs of how different decreases look on like a mitered square in here. So overall, and a great further reading section.
Yeah, and Laura and I have touched on 5% of what's in this book. I mean,
there's a lot of stuff. There's a great index too that tells you exactly what's discussed where. So if you're looking for something
just on
like seams, you can easily find seams across rib borders, difficult seaming, joining sweater edges, joining with crochet, joining with knitting, live stitches to dead stitches, live stitches to edge stitches, mattress stitch, options for seaming and joining, redoing unsatisfactory, seaming without sewing, setting in sleeves, sewn seams, slip stitch edges, working in ends along sleeves, and then there's like 2 other pages.
Yeah.
So, like literally, like, so there's tons of different options. Great index to easily find stuff, and just a great overall book. If you are a new knitter, if you are an experienced knitter, if you consider yourself an advanced master knitter, this is still a book that I think anyone from any level would find helpful.
I think you could take this book and any pattern book, and that would be all you would need. I mean, I feel like there's enough information in this book to get you started on pretty much any pattern.
And I feel like the way it's written is extremely user-friendly. There's been some reference books that we've looked at in the past that have not been so user-friendly with the jargon and the language that's used within the book. And this one is like an old friend is sitting with...
It's very approachable language.
And helping you and telling you, hey, on this one, do this one. Yeah. It's very easily understood and very approachable. So this is The Knowledgeable Knitter. It is also available in an e-edition. The folks over at Story Press sent it to us, and I'm so glad they did.
Yes.
Margaret did a wonderful job with this book. All of her books are exceptionally well done. And she's redoing the Knitter Answer book, which should be out later this year. So you might want to check that out for a more portable thing as well. So she knows her stuff, and I give it 2 high thumbs up. Yes. Everyone should get this book, in my opinion. The end.
Very useful and thorough book.
Yep. So, some other things we have to discuss. What we're reading. What are you reading?
I've already mentioned everything that I'm reading last week. I haven't done a ton of reading because I have gotten sucked into this ridiculous, cheesy show on Netflix called Heart of Dixie. So I've been watching a fair amount of that. I did restart Steelheart the other day because the second book came out, and I always like to reread the first ones so that
And there's a little one that's in between the two, right?
yeah. I haven't downloaded it yet though. So I want to reread it. I'm about a third of the way through rereading it, and then I'll start Firefight later this week.
Wonderful. I am on the third book of the Jasper Fforde, his YA series came out, the Dragon Slayer series. It is The Eye of Zoltar. He writes extremely intelligent YA, extremely intelligent and quite funny. He reminds me a little bit of Cherry Pratchett. So, his adult stuff's good as well, but I really care for his YA stuff. I find it a little bit more, because his adult stuff sometimes is more philosophy based, and it kind of goes whoosh. His YA stuff I actually get. So that's The Eye of Zoltar by Jasper Fforde with 2 F's, which is an awesome way when you're trying to catalog stuff. Hilarious. And favorite things, I know you started your art felt kit.
I did.
Is it still? Mine's still in progress because my Clever Needle just came the other day.
It is still in progress. Here, let me find where I put it. Oh, here it is.
Now, which kit were you doing?
All right, so let's start with this. I'm doing this tonal pillow in the chocolate and white. And I'm at the first step. I'm using this block that I got from a needle felting class that we took a while. Yeah, it's just foam. It's just, you could buy it at Joann's or Walmart. And so the first step is to lay a foundation of the solid color, which is the brown, which I did last night. I have one of those, I don't know if I put it in here or not. Oh yeah, here it is. So it all comes in this really cute little kit. And it's got, like Laura mentioned, it's got great video support. And I got one of these needle puncher things. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 needles in there.
The Clever one has 5. That one's 7.
This, I just picked it up at Michael's or Joann's or something. So I had to lay the fiber down and do a crosshatch, and it just is making me giggle because it makes me think of something completely inappropriate to mention on the show. But so I basically just laid a crosshatching of the brown, and then I have to add in, and this is just half the paper. They send you enough to do 2 sides, but I just wanted to start with half because that was a lot. So I have to do the white and add it in, and then they send like cording or yarn.
Oh, look at that.
And then you can make a design on there should you so desire. So it feels very weird.
Because it's just fiber that's been torn into little strips.
Yeah. It's just roving that I just pulled out and punched down, and you can see all the little holes in the fabric.
Yeah.
So once I get all that done, then there's instructions and videos on how to do the actual felting process.
Yep.
So it's very thorough, and I am looking forward to having the finished object. So hopefully I'll have at least the rest of the color put on there next week. We'll see.
Yep. So. Mine is at the same spot, just because I haven't had a chance to work on it much this week. Mine's pretty big. Mine's this, which is the coaster or table cover set. So I have the yellow down, and I've started adding the other colors of roving on top of it. So I just have to really make sure that they're going down and through those layers. We do have an art felt kit to give away.
Yes.
It is right here.
That gorgeous teal one, right?
It is. It's the shimmery scarf, which is a silk merino blend roving, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Yes, it's beautiful.
There we go. So we have, let's see.
I'm going to pull up the random number
107.
All right, random.org. So between 2 and 107,
That is correct.
Number 2, number 107. So I have now pushed the button. I will push the button. And the number is 95, which should be on the 4th page.
Wonderful. Let me go there. It was actually already there. Ha ha ha. Oh, it is Sonic Freak. Her favorite is that roving. She would like to make thumb mittens of it. She showed some of their pencil roving, which is absolutely gorgeous. Sonic Freak, if you will contact me, Lala, on Ravelry, I will send this out to you. So just send me your address with your real name. That's always important. And I will get it out to you as soon as possible. So congratulations on that. Yay.
Yes, and thank you to the artful people, because I guess I haven't really thought about felting in a long time, and I didn't realize there were such pretty things. Like, that scarf is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, like when you get to their site, it has so many cool things. And then you can just Paradise Fibers, the person who sells it in the US, and you can just buy the paper too.
Oh, so you can create your own designs.
Yeah,
That's
if you
cool.
have roving that you'd like to use, you could definitely use it and create your own design as well. You have book blanket in progress on here.
Yes. So I bought this pre-cut bundle a while back, a couple of years ago, and then cut it. I made them into 9 patches and then cut them without really even thinking about what I was going to do to put them together. And I bought it for Laura because Laura likes books a lot.
It's a true story.
And I finally figured out a way to put them together. I credit Pinterest because it's what gives me the ideas.
Yeah.
And now I'm sort of doing, because of the number that I have, if I had one more it would be great, but they don't make this fabric anymore. So I'm thinking of how to add a particular type of border around it to make it big enough. But anyway, this I got from Connecting Threads, which is like the fabric version of Knit Picks. So it's got lots of different patterns.
Cool.
You got your books in your spiral, your little county library, and
Oh,
yeah, it's got lots of
super cute.
lots of book themed. It's got the little date stamps.
Oh, that's so
For
cool.
books. So it's got a lot of different things. So basically with the 9 patches, I just put the small ones toward the center and then toward the outside here.
I love it.
So I'm going to do some sashing and borders. So it'll probably take me another month or more to finish it, but it is being worked on at least.
That's exciting because my other quilt has to go in for repairs.
Oh. What happened?
No, it did not. No, it's nothing to do with you. It has to do with a cat with super sharp claws. Who has decided that it is his quilt and he can do what he wants.
Yeah, I would make him a little kitty quilt, but then he'd ignore it and get on the quilt anyway.
There's a Steeler's quilt that he lays on top of it. But no, he's ripped a couple like real small holes in the white section. So Mom said she'd patch them for me.
Yeah,
we had a discussion about it yesterday actually. So that's going to go. It gets used every single day.
Yeah.
Like it goes in the washer and the dryer, and then it goes back on the bed.
It's meant to be used. I don't make things to be put on a wall and looked at. I would rather them be used.
Yeah. So we have an SSK vendor update.
Yes. Guess who's a dummy and totally looked over one section of the vendors? That'd be me. So the way that I was reading off vendors last week was in the way that we have them laid out for market. And because I had changed one section of a booth for a table, anyway, I looked over the fact that Sheep Dreamery is going to be there, which is awesome because she does some really cool colors and gradients.
Pretty stuff.
Yeah, that's Kelly, Keli McMahon. And then I don't remember if I mentioned or not. Oh my goodness, Fringe Supply Company.
You did.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure if I mentioned them, and of course Beck will be there. We hope with her husband because he's very entertaining.
He is. He might bring some pinball machines.
With Gusler Design, they'll have all kinds of cool stuff. And we are actually also going to have Acreworks there. It's going to be pretty awesome.
So Anchorworks makes bobbins like these.
They do 3D printed items. Bobbins are like their biggest thing at the moment.
They also do little hedgehog threaders, and they have started production of. I don't know that they've started production, but they started testing spindles.
Yeah.
So Aiden will be there. Super excited to meet him.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
So it's going to be awesome.
And his sister-in-law or sister?
His sister's
Lori.
going.
Yeah, she'll be.
Yeah.
She's an attendee, so that's cool. We can pepper them with questions about how 3D printing works. Anyway, so I just wanted to tell Kelly I was sorry. I totally forgot to mention her. It wasn't out of anything malicious. I just am a dummy. So, but speaking of Fibery events, you're going to one, right?
I am going to 2 officially now. Oh. So, I am going to the Fiber Festival in Oxford, which is around 30 minutes away. I'm just going to go and hang. Eloise and Gail offered me a ride. So they're like, you should come with us on Saturday. And so I said, okay.
Oh, is it this weekend?
So, it's the 1st of February.
Oh, okay.
So I will be there just hanging out, knitting on something, hopefully forward progress. And then I got an email yesterday saying that I will be, my classes were selected to be taught at Magnolia. So I will be teaching 3 classes at the Magnolia Fiber Festival. And they will, once they put the details up about that on their site, then I will link you all to that. But I'll be at Magnolia again, which they've moved venues, which I'm super excited about. And
is that the one that was at the casino last year?
Yes, but it's someplace completely different this year. It's like in their normal, like not normal, but like a convention center type.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
A casino. So the lighting should be a lot better. And they just announced that they got like the bigger ballroom, so they're adding more vendors.
Oh, cool.
So it should be really, really awesome. I'm excited about that. I am a joiner, so I am going to join the Follow Your Arrow to Cal about the pattern. And right now I'm thinking about, although this is really pretty, I'm looking, that's twin. See, I need pure if I'm doing Volmiza, and I don't have very many pure solids actually. But I do have this pretty ballerina, so I think I'm going to use that. My other choices were, not that one. That one's pretty though too. This red, the Indishrot.
That's old label.
Because some of this stuff's old.
Yeah.
And then Peppermint Prince, which might actually be the first skein that I ever bought of hers. So I'm trying to decide between those 3.
They're all good choices.
I know. I do have a lot of red shawls. I do not have a lot of red socks. So I think I won't do the red, but I like both of these. I have that elf colorway on the needles for the other mystery, the Kirsten Kapoor that I was doing that's almost done. So that's why I'm thinking the ballerina.
Oh, is it almost done?
Yeah, it's only got like 1 more clue left. It was almost done like this summer. It's one of the owl projects.
Oh, okay.
So, but that's in the, like, so with the owls, there's like a midway point and you get points for hitting that. And then there's the like finished point. Well, the Kirsten Kapoor mystery shawl is like not in my midway points. It's after that. So I don't want to finish that when it doesn't really count towards my midway progress report. So that'll probably get done in March anyway. And then I had a visitor this week.
You did. I'm super jealous.
I know. My friend Jane B came and visited me. She is wonderful, and she came with her husband Wayne, and they hung out with me and Mama Letterman, and we knit and wound yarn and
Humberto
chatted.
Hung out with Wayne, right?
Yes, Humberto loves Wayne, like totally is in love with him. So, and was pretty well behaved while they were here. So, yeah, it was super nice to see her, and I'll get to see her. She's RVing like across the country, and then she'll be back home in April, and then I'll get to see her the first weekend of May for Maryland Sheep and Wool.
Yep.
And you'll be there too, so that'll be super fun.
Yes, and Jane is always she's a great hostess, and she's just a very lovely person. We like having her in our life.
She's super fun. So, yep, that's about it for me. Is there anything else?
No, not for me. I have been enjoying my 3-day weekend, but now I have to do a bunch of laundry and other
I have to do laundry too.
less fun things, but necessary things. So yeah, Nope, that's about all I've got.
My neck is so nice and warm.
My whole body is nice and warm. It's very warm. So you guys have a wonderful week, and we will see you again next weekend.
Bye, y'all.